So I was talking to a friend a long time ago, and I was talking to her about my husband's betrayal trauma, and she said, you know, pain, it's a good thing because it means that you know you're alive. And I said to her, well, then I am so alive. And that brings me to the fact that once you are aware of your husband's pornography addiction, what do you do? And so what works for me, and it took me a really long time for us to get in a good place, and I really would love for you to actually be in a better place quickly, a lot quicker than we did it. So I'm telling you the steps that worked for me. They don't even have to be steps, just things I did. And so the first thing is to trust in God. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. And a higher power, whatever you see that is like more than your higher self, okay? But I believe in God, so I put my trust in God, and that gave me peace, it gave me strength, and it really made me able to do the things I had to start moving forward. Another step that was really important for me was to reach out. Okay, so I've heard from people that have also found out about their husband's pornography addiction. They were too ashamed to tell people, and I am not one of those people. I wanted to tell everybody my poor husband, but I didn't. I had told people that I knew I could trust. So that's important. You have to make sure you can trust these people. You don't want to just tell anyone, but you also need to tell someone. And if you feel like you don't have someone that you can talk to, then journal it. Write everything you're feeling down. Just keep going, get it out. Because if you don't get it out, it's going to stay in you and it will bottle up and manifest somewhere else in your life. So journal if you don't have anyone to reach out to. Also, we went to counseling. We had a lot of different therapists over the years, and finding the right therapist obviously is extremely important. The first one we had was a little interesting, but he also helped my husband with his depression. So he didn't necessarily help with the pornography addiction issue, but it was helpful in the fact that my husband's depression got better, and that made things easier. He didn't have to deal with his depression. And then if I didn't find this out till a lot later, and it was an S-Anon, and S-Anon is for the spouses, and SA is for the addict, and it's just like the AA groups. It's this 12-step program, and that is awesome. Like at first I was like, this is weird, I don't want to go to a 12-step group, but that actually helped me a lot because I was able to get around other women. I was able to express my feelings, which was so important, and be around other ladies that had the same problems that were going on. We could relate and we could help each other. So S-Anon groups are great. I know I did a church group, and for whatever reason, I found that my church group was different than just another group that I found online. And I think the difference was in my church group, there was able to be what you call crosstalk. So if I were to share my feelings in the group, the other ladies were able to join in with their feedback. And that was at the church group that I didn't find helped as much at that time. It might be different now because this was many years ago. But the S-Anon group, they actually no crosstalk. So when you're sharing, you get to say whatever you want. No one can say anything about it. Now, at the end of the meeting, when it's all done and over, you can get up and talk to the ladies. And if then you want to say something or someone wants to say something, they can. And I felt, for me, that made a huge difference. So after you reach out, okay, this one I was not aware of. So I had a couple counselors before this counselor, and I'm so grateful that I found him, because my husband at this point, he was going through a really hard time, wasn't doing well. He wouldn't even go to counseling with me at this point. And so I was like, I'm going to counseling. This is not working for me. So I called someone up, and he was awesome. He told me I could set boundaries. I'm like, boundaries? What are boundaries? Like, what does that even mean? So he explained it to me, and I eventually set up the boundary, like, if my husband acted out, whatever that is for you guys, then he wasn't allowed to sleep in the bed. And I was like, I can do that? He's like, yes, you can do that. I was like, oh, it was awesome. It changed everything. I really feel, because I feel like before that, he just got to do whatever he wanted, and I could do nothing about it. And I'm not saying you're controlling him. You can't control him. You cannot change him. You can only work on yourself. But the boundaries are to keep you safe and to not put up with that. And when I noticed I changed these boundaries, the addict, okay, so I call my husband, he's got his addict self, and then there's him. And I can tell when he's being the addict. I don't even be like, you're being the addict right now. He hated it, which I can understand now. But so when I started putting my foot down and putting my boundaries in place, like, you act out, you're not going to go in bed with us. I don't feel comfortable with you going and looking at other ladies and then getting in bed with me. I'm not okay with that. So you can go sleep on the couch. And lucky for me, my husband understood, and he went and slept on the couch. And I felt so much better when he would sleep on the couch on those nights. I just felt so free and peace. Like, oh my gosh, I can take care of myself. So clear boundaries, whatever those may be for you. And also you can write them out. I did write a letter. Also certain things like I needed to see. So he has to be in recovery or he will not get better. He cannot do it on his own. I had one counselor tell us, just put a picture of the family in front of the computer. Right. He's been doing this since he was 12, and his brain was wired this way. He has to do all this rewiring, unwiring to rewire to get so he doesn't have like the triggers and the thoughts that he is having. Putting our family picture up in front of his computer, yeah, not gonna work. But we tried that, of course. So clear boundaries, and then the letter, right? He has to be in recovery, and what recovery looked like to me, everyone's is different, is you had to be going to a SA group. You can say how many times a week. You need to be checking in with me. So we do these things called check-ins, what were so helpful. Okay, so when you're in the beginning of this, you have so many strong emotions that you are not able to maybe do the check-ins because you're so upset. But when you get to a point where you're not so upset and you're able to talk to your husband, there's these things we did called check-in. So you each take a turn, and you're going to say how you feel physically, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. And also, I added at that time if my husband had acted out or not acted out. And that was really helpful because we were able to connect and see how each of us are doing and talk about things that needed to be talked about. I know for some people, they don't want to hear if their husband's acted out. For me personally, I needed to know. Have you acted out today? Have you not? So that's another thing that you can keep in mind. So I think for right now, those were the most important things that really stand out to me, that really helped us move forward. Putting my trust in God. And there was one point when I just got so close to him, my Heavenly Father. And I was at that time super grateful, not super grateful, but I could see how my husband's addiction had brought me closer to God. And I liked that part of the addiction. And clear boundaries, amazing. And then the check-ins. So if I were going back and talking to myself, who is just starting this process, that's what I'd say. I'd say, listen, these are the things you need to do, so we can get in recovery quicker. And everybody's path's different. Some is going to be shorter, some is going to be longer. So those are some things I thought of. Hopefully they can help you. And if you have any questions, please let me know, because I fight for marriages. I'm all about marriages, and that's another thing. Try not to pick a counselor that's not for marriages. I've even had friends that I've told this about, and they're like, oh, so you're getting a divorce? I'm like, why would you start with that? Like, why? There are other things to try before divorce, right? And even then, you're supposed to wait a whole year before you make that decision of divorce. So, like I said, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I would love to help you if you need it, or answer them, because I want you to get on the other side like me. All right. Best of luck. God bless.